This one I wrote today.
All right.
Sylvie. The elders taught me that birthmarks are portals. Each mark is the puncture where in a past life a violence struck too deep, and life ran toward a mango sun with you too far behind it to catch up. In this new skin, the birthmark remains, a reminder of your ability to create yourself again. Mine is at the bottom of my foot. Doctors are always alarmed by its size, the blackness of it, but you and I know. It took a hole of that size to fall me. Sometimes I go into the mirror and I count the stars mapped along my thighs. Portals. I rest my finger on each one. Shivering my bones, ask my skin, what metal happened here? Really, the tremble is asking, what have I come back to create? For 28 days, I slept with a photo of a silver python beneath my pillow. The elders taught me to lay my head upon the snake atop its silver curves. Snakes represent knowledge. The things we're too afraid to know about ourselves because we will transform. True story. My mother used to sleep with the silver glint of a butcher knife beneath her pillow. Its tip, a fang prepared to strike. And how many birthless marks has my father bruised into her skin? She'd sleep clutching the wood handle. Silver represents wealth. And dreams are where the spirit goes to remember its power. I called this snake Sylvie. The elders taught me to trust the snake, to pillow itself behind my crown. Afraid, I invited Sylvie to nest in the feathers behind my hair. The elders taught me to place my hand on my core and feel falling asleep in its silver coils. Didn't Cleopatra trust the hooded cobra to guard her head? Didn't Rome shiver into a castle of fear that her hips were doomed swallowing Caesar? And wasn't Rome right to fear a seductress? Sex comes from the same place as creativity, the same place as spiritual power. And isn't sex simply the act of holding out your hand, an invitation? Come with me. Let's go together to meet God. What was Rome afraid that God would say? What is any colonizer afraid that God will say? Cleopatra knew that every venom holds a healing and a death. Cleopatra, a master of venoms, knew the dose makes the poison. What is a snake but a body singing with a presence so concentrated it camouflages its coils because you can only stand small, skilled doses? Just ask Eve. Paradise said, Eve, your nature is too terrifying. Best to fold yourself into a gentle smile. Paradise said, you are not the portal, but rather Adam's singular bone. And she laughed, and she chose the python. My elders say Marie Laveau's husband, John, gave her a snake that he was too afraid to carry. She was trembling. The python smelled her, gently slipped its diamond head along her collarbone, kissing up her neck and folding her crown with cold, smooth, iridescent scales. And behind her head, it whispered, each of us has two things, power and something sacred to protect. Violate what is sacred, and I will show that some creatures cannot be programmed out of their power. Let me show you. John, jealous of the crowds gathered to see Marie's magic, the snake hissing lullabies around her waist, John gathered his own metal to invite the python onto his own shoulders. Let me show you. There's a raw medicine in an embrace. But doesn't the dose make the poison? What is a snake but a constricting body singing, "We go to meet God"? And God is a mirror of facing what you fear most to see. And what is power but the art of transforming until fear becomes a shivering pleasure, shedding skin that is no longer fast enough to hold your aliveness. Let me show you. Raw power administered in small, skilled doses. They found Cleopatra with 2 puncture wounds in her wrist. And though there was no asp that was ever seen, they painted one striped red and silver onto the pillow in her portraits to give her an exotic death, fit for a queen, or maybe to turn woman against the snake holding her head sacred. Or maybe because she chose transformation over a myth of powerlessness. Master of poisons, she held out her wrist and said to the asp, "Come with me. Let's go together to meet God. Let me show you." 2 birthmarks teeming with ancestral drip. Some creatures just cannot be programmed out of their power. Rub your own birthmarks and ask yourself, what are the things that I'm too afraid to know?